Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel. Peter likes books. And can you believe that I'm not in a car for a Booktube vlog? I have been doing so many driving car vlogs where I just talk about books, and my favorite, of the moment are the cozy mysteries. I am absolutely addicted to the cozy mysteries, and I actually just finished the second book in the K.F. Breen series, Magical Midlife Madness. I finished the second one, which is called Magical Midlife Dating, and I may do a review of that driving around, so I'll talk about that later. But I wanted to do the book club announcement for November, and we also have some very, very special news that I am so excited to talk about. It's interesting because it's early morning. Well, it is 10:43, early morning for me, and I'm sitting here and it's been raining this morning, but I put bird feed out on my squirrel picnic table, and there's all these birds flying around out there in the rain. It's really cool. But anyway, I wanted to talk about the book that we are the books, because we have an extra credit book for the month of November that we have picked to read. And then I also have some exciting news to announce. So, Mel and I have kind of narrowed down the next couple months of what we wanted to read. We're kind of shifting things around here and there. And I had thrown out a topic that I had read about. The book that we're going to read for November, I have read before. But I read it when it first came out. And I'm not really sure what year it came out. Let me see. It came out in 2011. So I read it when it first came out. I actually do think I listened to it like on an audio tape when I was driving around. Oh my God, a cardinal just landed on my picnic table. Oh, there's all these birds out there. Anyway, I think I listened to it on audio tape when it first came out. I think I got the audio tapes from like Barnes & Noble or somewhere because I was interested in this story. I had seen this story on like Nancy Grace and had followed it. And and it was a memoir, and so I wanted to hear about it. And that book is, let me put on my reading glass for you, reading glasses for you, well, for me, so I can read it. But our November book for a true crime book club is A Stolen Life, a memoir by JAYCEE DUGGARD. And if you don't know anything about this story, let me read to you the synopsis for it. It's a true story, obviously, a true crime book club. On June 10th, 1991, 11-year-old JAYCEE DUGGARD was abducted from a school bus stop within sight of her home in Tahoe, California. It was the last her family and friends saw of her for over 18 years, you guys. On August 26, 2009, DUGGARD, her daughters, and Philip Craig Garrido appeared in the office of her kidnapper's parole officer in California. Their unusual behavior sparked an investigation that led to the positive identification of JAYCEE Lee DUGGARD living in a tent behind Garrido's house. During her time in captivity at the age of 14 and 17, she gave birth to two daughters, both fathered by Garrido. DUGGARD's memoir is written by the 30-year-old herself and covers the period from the time of her abduction in 1991 up until the present. In her stark, utterly honest, and unflinching narrative, JAYCEE opens up about what she experienced, including how she feels now, a year after being found. Garrido and his wife Nancy have since pleaded guilty to their crimes. You guys, when I tell you, like, I can still remember moments of this book, and it just kind of sends waves of fear through me. And I have this kind of fascination in reading kidnapping stories, and this was one of the very first ones that I ever read. My battery died, which happens all the time. Anyway, when I was growing up, I used to watch these dramatic movies with my mother, And I remember watching this movie that was called Without a Trace, and I don't know if you've ever seen it. But Without a Trace is about this single mother living in New York City. She and her ex are divorced. I think they're divorced in the movie. And I think he has like a new wife. And she has a little boy, and he's kidnapped on the way to school. And it has Judd Hirsch in it. Do you guys remember Judd Hirsch? I think he was in that TV show Taxi. But anyway, and he plays like the detective who's trying to find out. And you really have no idea until the very end of the movie, like, what really happens. And I can literally, to this moment, like, remember like the last 5 to 10 minutes of this. I mean, it is unreal, the end of this movie. And at that point, like, I can remember, and like my parents, when I was growing up, when I grew up in the 70s and the early 80s, like I was born in 72, so the late 70s or early 80s were the years of my, like, real youth. And I can remember my parents, like, saying things to me about, you know, like if I was ever kidnapped and what to do. And like I had code words with my dad on the phone. So if they ever called me, ways to like give information. Like if my dad would tell me, you know, look and see if you can see newspapers so you know what city you're in and things like that. And then I actually had, and I mentioned this and talked about it on my vlog, I actually had a babysitter of mine that was kidnapped. And that was kind of like a story that like all the adults in my life would talk about, like, you know, for years to come. And they never found the people that, she actually, I think they did like give a ransom and she was cleared, but, or like she and her friend were not cleared, but she and her friend were found. They like dropped them off somewhere, but the kidnappers were never found. And so I've always been very intrigued by stories of kidnapping, and especially about the survivors, you know, that make it through that. Another one, I used to watch the Lifetime movie, I Know My First Name is Steven, and I'm kind of like, you know, and other things, when I talk about this on my vlog, it's kind of like joking that I love that Lifetime movie, but in a weird way, like I really, truly have been intrigued, you know, by stories of kidnapping, and it's an area of true crime that I am very interested in, and I think, you know, in our society today, there are probably so many kidnapping cases that have never been solved, and people are still out there, and, you know, probably horrible things have happened to, and they've been ended up, you know, their lives have been taken, and so you never find out what really happened. JAYCEE DUGGARD's story is absolutely unbelievable. It is truly, truly a story of survival. And I'm really excited about reading it again because I haven't thought, you know, about the specifics of this book since I read it, and I've talked to so many people about it, like whenever it'll come up, and like I'll say, oh, I remember this, or I'll remember that, and I remember like where they like made her house, and like where she lived, and things like that, because she does live behind their house, and they make like an area for her, he makes an area for her, but it's very specific, and I will tell you it's graphic in areas. I do remember it being that way, but I think it's a really important book to read. I think it's really important to hear the story of survivors in situations like this. There is actually another book that JAYCEE DUGGARD has read. So this is our extra credit book for the month of November, and the book is called, hold on a second, Freedom, My Book of Firsts, and this book came out in 2016. And the first book has like a yellow cover, and this one has a blue cover, and they're very simple. The first one has like a picture of her on the cover of it, and the second one has a picture of her kissing her dog. And here it is. In the follow-up to her #1 best-selling memoir, A Stolen Life, JAYCEE DUGGARD tells the story of her first experiences after years in captivity, the joys that accompanied her newfound freedom, and the challenges of adjusting to life on her own. And I have not read this book, and I am really, really excited about reading this book. You know, when I read the book the first time, it was weird because it was one of the only memoirs I've ever read in my life where I felt like a true connection to her story. Like, I really felt like I knew her, like she was sitting in front of me telling me this, you know, like as I was reading it, it's like you feel like you're going through it with her. It is absolutely unbelievable. And if you're somebody that's like, oh, I wanted to be part of the book club, but I don't really like true crime, I think this would probably be a good book to read along with us and try. So those are the books that we're going to read for the month of November. We have a really interesting case for the month of December that I think probably almost everybody knows this case that we're going to talk about. It's not an old case for the month of December that we were talking about, and we're looking at for the best book of that. And then we actually have January picked too. So we're really excited. We have some good months coming up. And with that, I want to make an announcement. We don't know much about this yet, but we're so excited. Okay, we found out yesterday. So, you know, it's kind of weird. And now let me tell you a little background story about a true crime book club. So I started my book club. It was called Peter's Book Club. I think it'll be 3 years ago in April, I think it was. And the first year that I read it, I wanted to just do like kind of like pop culture books, and I wanted to read, you know, like Valley of the Dolls and V.C. Andrews books, and, you know, just kind of cult classics. And I had no intention of reading true crime as like the mainstay for the book club whatsoever. And then we read, at the suggestion of many people, I'll Be Gone in the Dark, One Woman's Obsessive Search for the Golden State Killer by Michelle McNamara when it came out. And we actually read it. I think our discussion was 2 weeks after they caught the guy that's the Golden State Killer, Carl, I can't think of what his last name is. But anyway, he was actually, do you know that he was arrested on my birthday, which is so weird. So we read that book at the same time that it came out, he was caught. And then I met Mel, and Mel's, you know, offered to help me with the book club, which I'm so thankful for because I could never have done it without her. And now it's morphed into this thing where it's just as much hers as it is mine. And, you know, we love doing it. We talk about it all the time. It's really like started this kinship between us. Mel and I talk about books all the time. We talk about all kinds of stuff. Knitting, because she, you know, or she crochets, not knits. Crocheting. We talk about our families. We talk about our husbands. I mean, she is one of the dearest friends I've ever had. And it's all a result of me starting this book club that I was too afraid to walk into a book club like at Barnes & Noble in the library. So I was like, I'll just start one online. Well, as you know, you might not know this by the live streams because we usually have anywhere from like 30 to 100 people in our live streams. But we've slowly started building the true crime, a true crime book club. And we had decided the end of that first year, like Mel and I were talking about what theme we wanted to go with because we were going to go with like a theme every year, like all the books of 2010 or classics. We were going to do a theme every year. And so we decided that we were just going to do, I think, or maybe the first year we decided we were just going to do all true crime. And then we decided we were just going to change. I think that's what happened. And then we decided that we were going to just change it to a true crime book club. And that's kind of how it morphed into that, you know, and we both love true crime. We're both obsessed with true crime. She's only reading nonfiction now, she told me. So anyway, well, not forever, but just right now. And we love reading true crime and having discussions about it and falling down the rabbit hole and watching the YouTube videos and reading articles and, you know, forums and things like that. And to some degree, I think I've turned into a citizen detective, so to speak. I really have with a lot of these cases that never even make it into books, but you read about them on forums and you see the articles, and I'm sure many of you out there feel the same way. So anyway, yesterday I received an email from CrimeCon, and CrimeCon found our book club, and they want to work with Mel and I in promoting each other, which is really, really cool. We're very, very excited. We don't know really what it means yet, okay? It probably doesn't mean a whole lot. This year they're holding it virtually because they can't have it in place. They're going to have it in Orlando, Florida. And actually, the first one, she told me, was in 2017, was in Indianapolis, Indiana, where I live. So, going forward, you know, Mel and I will be at CrimeCon, and we're hoping to be very involved in the years to come. But we're really, really excited. Some of the things that we're working on are maybe like discounted tickets to go to the virtual event. There's going to be a virtual event. It's in November this year. We don't really know a whole lot more than that, but we're so excited. We're like, oh my God, because we've always wanted to go to CrimeCon. And, you know, like if you watch the documentary for I'll Be Gone in the Dark, CrimeCon was a part of that. They had, you know, her book at CrimeCon, and the victims, or not the victims, the survivors were at CrimeCon, and they were signing the books and things like that. They were signing her books. So anyway, we're going to be involved somehow with CrimeCon. We don't know. We're very, very excited. But Mel said yesterday, our little book club that, you know, we started from, it's so cool, you know, that we started this thing just with like a dream, and here we are now at over 3,000 members, which is baffling, you know, and I know that not everybody participates in the live discussions, but I think back to the early days, you know, when it was Mel and I and Misha and Karen and Melody and Taylor, you know, and Karen, and just, you know, there was 10 of us that would come in there and be active, and Miss June at first, you know, and there was 10 of us that were active in the book club, and now we're being asked to participate and be part of CrimeCon, which is so amazing, you know, and I just think it proves that whatever you love and whatever you're passionate about, if you work hard and you push it and you put your heart into something, that anything can come true. So I'm so excited about it. And, you know, and one of the things that Mel and I have always wanted to make clear is that it's not just our book club, you know, it's everybody's. It's everybody that participates in it. And I'm so excited to see, you know, going forward, what's going to happen. So, I'm like, I know I'm leaving somebody out. I'm not thinking of somebody that guests regularly, and I'm like, who is? I'm like, I'm like missing out on a name. So if I'm forgetting your name, I'm really, really sorry. I can see who is. Why can't I'm wiggling my toes, because if you wiggle your toes, neurons in your brain will go off supposedly. But who is it? Why can't I think? I can always see her sitting there. She's always outside, and her son comes in sometimes. Anyway, oh shoot, wiggle my toes. But you know who you are, and you know I love you. But anyway. you know, it's our book club, and we've done this thing, and it's really, really cool. And I just, you know, I've never wanted it to get too big, because then I thought that it would lose kind of like, you know, the closeness that we all had. But this is one really cool thing that's happening. So anyway, if you want to join the True Crime Book Club, it's listed below. You can join it on Facebook or Goodreads. They actually found us off of Goodreads, which I think is really cool. So anyway, yeah, I hope you will participate with us for the for the month of November. It's JAYCEE DUGGARD, A Stolen Life, and we are doing the extra credit book, which is the next one, which is, oh, hold on a second. The second book, oh, I went out of it, hold on a second, which is, well, I don't know, the one I meant, well, I already talked about it, shouldn't I? My Book of Firsts, is that what it's called? Hold on a second. Darnation. Okay, I had it all pulled up, but I want to make sure that I announce it again. Okay, her first book is called A Stolen Life, and her second book is, you guys are shouting it. You're like, Peter, you just said it on here. Okay, her second book is called Freedom, My Book of Firsts. So that's the extra credit book if you want to read it. They're both not super long. They're both like 270 pages. The first one, I think, is 272 pages. Goodreads is so slow. 273 pages, and the second one is 272 pages. So they're both about the exact same length, and they're not long. And you can go over there and you can check out all about JAYCEE Lee Duggard if you want to read those two books. And I'm really excited. They're really great. Well, the first one's really great, and I'm sure the second one is too. So anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.